I'm very happy to see you all here, and I'm very happy to be on stage, very grateful. And I want to talk about fast expiring knowledge, and that is not the right clicker. I have the exact same, but this one works. Okay, so for the next 30 minutes, I will take your time to talk about something that is not really related to technology. And the question is, who am I? That's actually not me with more hair, that's me with a wig. Long story, I can tell you after the talk. So anyway, my name is Niklas. Everyone who knows me from the PowerPoint karaoke yesterday can call me. For everyone who was not there, you should definitely go to PowerPoint karaoke. It's fun. So I spawned 1982 in Munich, and I'm working at Shopware. I will tell you a little bit about Shopware in a moment. And I work in developer relations. So I started as a programmer. I'm actually for 25 years in tech now. And then at some point I transitioned into the business of making other developers happy. So you. Shopware. Shopware is the people that pay me, are the people that pay me, and it's also MIT open source licensed e-commerce platform software. So if you want to create a shop for someone, you can use Shopware, and it is awesome for you because it is built on PHP, which is something that you all use daily. And it is also built with Bootstrap and vanilla JavaScript. And also Vue.js, which is the nice part. In the administration, and also there is a project called Shopware Storefront, Shopware Frontends, which is basically just using the API, and then you can build whatever you want in Vue.js, and it goes from SDK to demo shop through stages of opinion, and you can do whatever you want. So in case you want to dabble in e-commerce, that's your chance. Right. This is not a tool talk, so I will now stop talking about Shopware, and I will start talking about tech. Basically tech. All right, so this looks nice, right? Who knows what framework or library this is from? Spoiler, it's not Vue.js. If you know it, just shout. Anyone? Not really. Not vanilla. That's close. It's MooTools. All right, so who used MooTools back in the day? Okay, a few. So MooTools was basically what could have been what jQuery is today. For unrelated reasons, they stopped developing around 7 years ago, and then jQuery took over the world. Now, I looked into how much is this used today? How much are we using such a legacy framework, right? Last commit 7 years ago, today. And I also at the same time found a statistics that is including also Vue.js. It's from w3techs.com, and it's the usage statistic and market share of JavaScript libraries. That's important because it is not only frameworks, so the numbers might be different. In case, Evan, if you're watching this, don't cry, thank you. So jQuery is at 94%. Still, this is a report that claims to be current for last week, right? That's not some numbers from 2012. Vue.js is at 1.1%. Again, libraries. Everything JavaScript that has a name slapped on it goes into this report. And MooTools is at 0.9%. That's wow, right? I mean, I at least have the feeling that Vue.js now is basically the world. And then there are people who, for unrelated, unknown reasons, do things like Angular conferences. It's like, but no, even something that has the last commit 7 years ago is still relevant enough today that it shows not only up in this statistic, but at a very high value compared to Vue.js. I'm not sure how accurate this is, right? I didn't call them, but still, it seems that legacy knowledge is something that sticks around, right? Also, are any people here that know what COBOL is? Yeah, every time something like that gets asked, it's always accompanied by laughter. COBOL is a very old language that is mainly used in the banking sector, finance sector today, for things that just don't want to die. But this is just all old stuff, right? Oh, I forgot the 0.9%, sorry. Before I go further into things that you might or might not know and might or might not remember, let's talk about the types of knowledge for this talk. If you go to like Wikipedia and go into what is knowledge, among the first things they tell you is it's debated, right? Because knowledge per se is a concept that people came up with. It was not that someone turned over a stone. It was like, oh my God, that's knowledge, right? I mean, maybe they did because they discovered something, but I get to this in a moment. So there is applicable knowledge that I want to categorize for this talk. It's skills and information that are directly usable in your day-to-day projects, right? You learned just how to build a time machine. By the way, thank you, Mark. That was great. And now you can build a time machine that brings your customers back in time. For some reason, I think Mark didn't go into why you want to build a time machine, but it was interesting nevertheless. The other thing is foundational knowledge, and foundational knowledge is something like, you know, when you learn how to drive and you are not from the US, you usually learn to drive a stick shift thing, and you will not consciously stop driving, shift gear, go back to driving. At some point, how to operate this thing that you are, you know, jumping around in the gears, that becomes foundational knowledge. Okay, so that's core principles and theories that underpin technologies, basically. As an example, so when you master the latest Vue.js features, that is something that you then can directly use in your projects. When you understand the concept of reactive programming or component-based architecture, you are very welcome at the Angular conference as well, basically, and you understand stuff. If you only use Vue.js without understanding what you're doing, you will have a bad time at different technologies. Foundational knowledge helps out there, which we come back later to. Now there is another thing that I want to distinct here. I want to make another distinction. That's discovery versus invention. So basically birds are something you discover and airplanes are something you invite. Electricity is something that you discover, right? A lightning bolt comes down. That guy over there is dead. That's electricity. And that at some point led to the invention of Vue.js with less lightning and more transistors. So that's another thing. You can discover stuff and you can invent stuff. And I said that birds are something you discover, but for me at least, Vue.js is something I discovered as well, because I did not create or invent Vue.js, as you might know from my face. So there is something that is not inherently from nature that you can discover as well. Stuff you didn't make, time machines in Vue. Sorry, it's the only talk that I saw today, so I will always refer to this the whole talk. Okay, anyway, the half-life of knowledge in text. There is a nice quote from Buckminster Fuller, and he said, I will just read the quote. Up until 1900, human knowledge doubled approximately every century. By 1945, it was doubling every 25 years, and by 1982, it was doubling every 12 to 13 months. And I read another source that I couldn't verify that said today it's about every 2 days, which sounds wild. By the way, what else happened in 1982? Who paid attention? I was born. Right. Okay. So since yeah, but I mean, since I was born, even if that would have kept up, like every year, the knowledge would have doubled. From the time I was born until now, by the way, this is 42 years. What an amount. I mean, also, most of you probably know what is uploaded to YouTube every day in terms of hours of content per minute. And we are just sitting here talking about some code in some framework while the world around us basically explodes. There's so much that you don't know. There are so many people that have stuff in their head that you have no idea about. We are living in a world that is so complex that even having this conference here, having these things, everything around us is beyond comprehension. We basically live in a world of magic because you don't know why this building is not crushing down on us. And you don't know why this thing works. You know why, in theory, computers work, but not on a real deep level. You couldn't build a chip, right? You could build it maybe on a breadboard, given that, but that's about this. So it's very much of things going on around us, and I need to touch grass for a moment. Okay. So, back to the topic. So life is stressful, learning is very stressful, and everything is sometimes too much, especially if you are in the position that you want to become an expert in your field, because you are paid for your knowledge. You're not paid because you're very versatile at pressing buttons on a piece of plastic and metal. That's not what you're paid for. You're paid for knowing things, and sometimes for creating things from the things that you know. So that's a lot of stuff, and the bad news is I will not be able to solve this. This talk will not solve anything. I just want to give you a perspective, and I have something that I'm passionate to talk about. Now that we have laid the foundation, a little bit of a tangent. What is that? Oh wow, you're asleep. This is a film camera. And so in film production, also everything speeds up and everything is very complicated, right? The first film productions were basically Buster Keaton, a camera, and a house falling down on him. And even then it was more complicated than this. So the ring on this camera is for focusing the subject or whatever you want to focus, right? You know that stuff is blurry, not focused. Stuff is sharp, focused. So in film, usually when you are not doing some promo shit for iPhone, everything is done manually. Everything. And there is a guy or gal on set that has one single job, and that is operating that wheel. These people are called focus puller. Who knows what a focus puller is? Actually, some of them, my movie buffs. Hi. Okay, so these people just stare at a small monitor the whole time, and they turn a knob, and depending on where they turn it, the different portions of the images are sharp. Right? Imagine someone going towards the camera, and that person is just turning the knob so that that person stays sharp, right? And then all of a sudden, they turn the knob the other direction, and someone who was in the blurry foreground suddenly turns sharp. And you go like, oh my God, there's the bad guy. That's a focus puller. And that's a whole job, right? Amazing. So that's an example of specialization. And this is also what you are doing. There are so many JavaScript frameworks, but you choose Vue. That sounds weird. Okay. But also, specialization is not really a surprise because, you know, we established we can't know everything, so things are more specialized. Who is a full-stack developer? Okay. Who of the full-stack developers are sometimes looked down upon because they say they are full-stack developers? None of you. That's amazing. Okay. So I had the situation that sometimes people tell me when you are a full-stack developer, that's another word for saying, I can do a lot of stuff, but I can do nothing right. Which is like really rude for one, and also wrong. But this whole situation of looking down on people, let me use this as a segue in... No, wait. Wait, let me use my... Hell, how to write segue when you mean transition. Ah, thank you. Okay, so Hell can at least do that, maybe because I'm not Michael. And now we also had AI in the talk. Check. All right, so where were I? Right, full-stack developers are specialized people, in my opinion, because you will never be as good in any topic when you are a full-stack developer as someone who is specialized in that topic, right? Because you not only know basically how to do Vue.js on the server, but you also know how to do it in the front end. And maybe you are a full stack developer who knows, I actually met one here, amazing, who's doing C# with Vue.js. Amazing, isn't it? So, but what are full stack developers basically then specialized in? At least in my opinion, it's problem solving and contextualization. Because also most of us developers, or at least the ones that are paid real money, are not only good at knowing things, but also at assessing problems. And a lot of them are here today. We will get to that in a moment, because this talk, in an essence, is not about knowledge, but about you. So let's get to the next thing, the big picture. So specialization is not really the solution for everyone, right? Because somehow, if you're just sitting in a dark room the whole day, just writing, let's say, components, nothing else, you're very specialized. But also, when we all just focus on a very narrow slice of knowledge, right? We lose the big picture. In this case, we can see the nut, but not the chipmunk. So, and nobody expects the chipmunk when everyone is focused on the peanut, right? And some might say this is why product managers were invented. They are here to watch the chipmunks. But in that analogy, the chipmunks is us. Okay, so quick recap so far. Knowledge, there is a lot of this, which is sometimes overwhelming. Specialization works, but only to a certain extent, and then you see that, well, maybe I'm not that specialized, I'm now full stack, whatever. Yeah, where am I going with this, right? What is this guy on stage doing anyway? So basically, the talk did not go well, right? Because I just told you that everything is bad. Amazing. Let's shift the perspective for a moment. By the way, who knows why this is called a shift key, or who does not know why it is called a shift key? Some, okay. Because you actually, on typewriters, used the shift key to shift the roll that hold the paper, so that the uppercase letters were hitting the paper instead of the lowercase letters. Who knows why it's called uppercase letters? You learned something. Okay, so in olden times, when people were taking metal letters out of boxes and put it into frames to then print something, it was sorted in the small letters, which were in the lower cases, and the big letters, which were in the upper boxes. So it's uppercase and lowercase. Amazing. Okay, foundational knowledge as a compass. Because, of course, it is not as wild as I just made it appear. Yes, we don't know why the building is crushing. It's not crushing down on us, but people always didn't know things. That's mainly why religion was invented. And I don't want to offend anyone. I like everything. It's fine. Just that's actually the reason. Like, you know, fire, electricity from the heaven. Where might it come from? Maybe that guy up there. And then, so this is how we invented that, as to get better knowledge of concepts. We still don't know everything, but we know how to build stuff. And it's not as wild as I made it appear, because you are living in a society of human beings, and you can actually be sure that maybe some of these people half know what they're doing, and if you put enough of them together in a room, something nice will come out, you know, and that's fine. But the more you learn throughout your life, because you are one of these persons that know a lot, but not everything, also the more you will forget, and the better you will get at sifting through new stuff. We had it yesterday about that every second, basically, a new JavaScript framework is invented by someone, and you get a compass over your life from, you know, just from experience, and I think you should use that compass. Who will share what they have learned or experienced with their colleagues when they get back home? Who will do that? Not everyone, okay. I hope you still have colleagues. Who of you who will share this is obliged to do this? Who has the task to do this from their employer? Also a few. Who hates that? You're not on camera. Okay, a few. But I say actually you should. Even if you are not obliged to do this, even if you did not plan to do this, because you can be the glue between the people that are specializing. Sharing knowledge actually has an impact. We are all here today, so to share knowledge. You are one of these people that have the privilege actually to be here, to be at a conference that is by no means a given, that we are actually privileged to experience. You are special, you're privileged, not in that way. Maybe, I don't know, I heard we have a pilot here. But I mean privileged in this sense. Privileged in the sense that you are here. And I always ask people when I'm going around, you know, I'm in developer relations in case you already forgot. I always ask people, why are you on conferences? Because we want to, me and my team, I'm not the boss, but I'm working in a team. We want to convince people to send other people to conferences, and we also sometimes have a hard time at Shopware having developers visiting conferences. Because if you have, who's the first time at a conference? A lot of you. I love you. So, because you took the leap, because it's so much more convenient to sit at home. I mean, there is a live stream. Why are you here? Didn't you know that there is a live stream? You know, you can just watch it on YouTube and, you know, don't wear pants. Amazing. But you are here for a reason, because you want, and by the way, I'm not offending anyone on the live stream. You do you. If you don't wear pants. So, but you are here because you are here for other people, for the things that happen when nobody is talking on stage, right? Because you want to connect with people, because you want to talk with people that are giving talks, and you want to take part in the whole, let's put our brains together and see what's coming up. And so I always ask people why they are on conferences, and some of them just say, because I feel inspired. I had an owner of an agency once who said, well, when I come to this, we have a yearly conference at Shopware where the whole community gathers, basically like this, but for Shopware. And he was like, when I send my people to your conference, they work twice as fast and twice as much for half a year without me asking them, just because they are so inspired. That, and also they understand things, they see things differently, and that makes them happy. So going to conferences, in essence, should make you happy. Also, if this is your first time at a conference, try to talk to other people, try to have fun. You're not here for the talks, they are on YouTube. Of course, it is always better to see it live, because, you know, it's this theater feeling. You can feel me. But it's a different thing to watch on YouTube. But the information would be the same. So the point is, even for the talks that are on stage, you're not here for the information. You are here for the experience. All right, so I got into programming 25 years ago, story time. In the 90s, I started with HTML, and then there was JavaScript. But before that, I dabbled into PHP, because you know what we could do with PHP back then. I mean, I know that some of you know. So we had a script. Every time that script was called, it wrote a number into a text file, or it read it from the text file, added one, wrote it back. And then you could see how many people are on your site, you know, watching your website. It was such a blast. It was amazing. And then we discovered JavaScript, and now we could do this counter thing when other people were watching, because the file changed. So we just refreshed this counter every few seconds. So now you could go to your site and watch how many people were watching your site at the same time, usually nobody. But it still worked. And then SVN came around. Who used SVN? Okay, who does not know what SVN is? Okay, it's not as many. It was, for those who don't, it was Git, but older. And this is a very simplified thing that some people might want to hit me in the face for. Okay, but we used it, and then Linus Torvalds, who does not know who that is? Very good. For people in the live stream, the guy who made Linux a thing. If you don't know what Linux is, you're at home, Google it. All right, so Linus was like, I want something different at some point, and so he invented Git. And then we all used Git. So when I was traveling here, I was sitting in the train for longer than I had planned, thanks German railways. And there was this guy a few seats behind me, and he was really busy, like really busy talking to someone who did something wrong. And since he was very agitated, as businessmen sometimes get, actually all people, but he was this businessman angry, you know, like because he didn't have any control over what was happening, but he still wanted to have control, so it was more frustration like anger. I actually felt for him. He was not mean, he was just agitated. And he was keeping talking about SVN. The whole time he was like, why stuff like this is not, I'm not remembering the terms, not checked in, but whatever SVN uses. And that got me thinking like, why aren't we using this anymore? Okay, because Git is a thing. And then I crunched some numbers. I don't have them in my slides, but it was like SVN is still a thing, just not in our bubble. And so things evolve and stay around at the same time. What I want to say is here, like, this is your future, not the German Autobahn, but this is an image for your future, because you have no idea what will happen tomorrow. You have like a plan, and you have an expectation, but you have no idea. Maybe today you win the lottery, right? You find a ticket on the floor, win the lottery, which is basically giving you, by the way, someone said that finding a lottery ticket that has the winning number on it has more chances of success than when you play, which sounds weird, but I got the message, don't play lottery. Anyway, and this is not only your future, this is everyone's future, and sometimes you are way ahead of them and you already know the road. And this is the thing, just because someone is not at the point in their journey where you are, should not prompt you to go like, oh, you use SVN? You know about Git? That's better. Or, you know, you use jQuery? What are you, like, dumb? That's maybe not the way you want to talk to people, because you could go like, hey, why? That's always a great question. If someone, maybe not always, but when someone is saying something that you are not agreeing with, why is always a good question, a good first question. And I mean, obviously we have some movie fans here. And there are people in the movie scene that go like this. You say, hey, did you watch the movie Primer? Which is, by the way, a very awesome movie. And that other person goes, no, what is Primer? And you go, oh, bro, you don't know, oh, God, how can you not know Primer? And then that person feels belittled. And you could also go like, oh my God, next Tuesday, you, me, Primer, popcorn. That is gonna be amazing. I wish I was you, because now you can experience it for the first time. And that is something that you should take home with you, to be like that to other people and to your colleagues. Be the one that is inspiring and not be the one who is condescending, basically. Which takes me to mentorship and growth, because also this conference did not just pop into existence. There are people here that are working very hard on this, who take risks, like real risks, not the funny risks that you take when you play the lottery. And it's hard work. Conferences are hard work. So you are participating in something that people put a lot of effort into it, and you should try, in my opinion, to not only get the most out of it by talking to other people, but also by letting people who do not have the chance, who do not have the privilege to be here and to experience this, have these people take part basically through you, through going home and inspiring them and telling them how good it is, and maybe inspiring them to visit the next conference, having them so excited that they go, I want to experience this. Also, if this puppy thing, the buddy system, is amazing, we will implement this at Shopware for sure, because this is also one of the things, right? When you come to a conference as a first-timer, everyone is like hugging and, hey, yeah, we see you, because they know each other from other conferences, and they are a team, and there are guys talking, and there, and guys, hello? okay, I go over here, maybe there's a donut for me. So, and that's a bad feeling. So also at conferences, if you are not the first timer, be inclusive. That's basically the whole thing. Take part. And also, you are amazing for being here. Thank you.